Welcome to Feng Shui Living, the podcast designed for busy women who want to de-stress, live with intention, and create a home that truly supports their well-being. Each week, I'll bring you practical tips, insightful ideas, and simple strategies to enhance both your home and your life. Let's get started. If you love this podcast and you're ready to go deeper into this work, my book, Aligned at Home, is designed to help you start shifting your space right away with simple, approachable guidance. And for those of you who like something maybe a little more hands-on, the Aligned at Home workbook gives you prompts, exercises, and checklists to actually walk through your home and make some changes. You can snag links for both the Aligned at Home book and workbook in the show notes. Hello, and welcome to Feng Shui Living Podcast. I am your host, Lisa Morton. And today's episode was inspired by one of my 15-minute discovery calls that I had last night. I had a chat with Laura, who is a real estate agent in San Antonio. And I haven't been to San Antonio in years, and it's such a cool city. And she was great. And we got to talking, and then I'm like, I'm going to make a podcast episode out of this. So today we're going to really talk about something foundational. The 5 elements. Now, before you tune out and start thinking this is going to be complicated, I want you to know I really want to make this simple and really practical for you, because the 5 elements are actually one of the easiest ways to understand why your home feels the way it does. Now, Laura said this on our call. She said, I'm reading about Feng Shui and listening to your podcast. And as a real estate agent, she's going into these spaces and seeing things, and things are clicking now that she's understanding a little bit. And I remember back to when I was studying Feng Shui and first learning about the 5 elements, it's like, oh, wow, now there's a word to describe what I was feeling. Now there's a word to explain that sensation I had. And I know I've heard this from other practitioners as well. And so I want to dive into the 5 elements and give you a different taste. So by the end of this episode, you'll be able to walk through your home and start noticing what might be missing and what small shifts you can make to bring your home back into balance. So I want you to think about the 5 elements. Let's think of it as a recipe. When they're balanced, everything feels good. When something is missing or there's too much of one thing, you feel it. Now, not always in an obvious way, but it's how you experience your space. Now, here's something very important I want you to understand. When I first started studying Feng Shui, I'm like, oh, I have to have the right balance. Right? The perfectionist in me, the perfect balance of all 5 elements in every space. And at first, yes, that makes sense, but not really. I want you to have the right amount of balance for the activity happening in the space. I was interviewed yesterday on a podcast, and I was telling them, and if you have a spa, or they actually worked at a library, and these women, I'm telling them, if your library or like a spa was blaring rock music, it just wouldn't feel like a spa or library. On the flip side, if you were to go to a casino and the walls were beige and there was classical music playing, it would not be very exciting, right? So we want to balance the elements for the activity happening in the space. So important. Okay, so just a side note on that. Let's get into the 5 elements. And I'm going to go through each one. Don't worry about memorizing everything. I just want you to kind of get a grasp of each. So let's start with the wood element. We're in the season of spring and the wood element. So let's talk wood element. It's all about growth, expansion, moving forward. I always think of onward and upward. Rejuvenation, it's plants, it's upward motion, vertical stripes, of course the color green, flowers, plants, artwork depicting flowers and plants, even your floral wallpaper is going to inspire a wood element. When wood is balanced for the activity in the space, you're going to feel the right amount of motivation, the right amount of inspiration, and you're going to be moving forward. When it's missing, you might feel stuck. You might feel like you're just stagnant in life, and you also might feel like you're just unsure of that next step. If I'm working with someone who's looking for a next step, maybe that's a big career move, we'll look at the wood element in their environment and see how we can adjust that, and also strategically place the wood element in very specific areas. So the wood element, it's all about vertical growth, moving on, onward and upward. Next is the fire element. Fire connects to the season of summer. And when we think of fire, it's high energy, it's visibility, it's passion, it's bold and bright and has something to say. I always think of a casino or Chuck E. Cheese or somewhere being very heavy in the fire element. It needs to be heavy in the fire element for all the wild music and fun that's happening there. Fire element can be brought in through lighting, through candles, through a fire in your fireplace, but then also those fiery colors, red, fuchsias, purple's even a fire element, and triangular shapes. So you might have someone that does not care for the color red. Well, you can bring in a cool throw pillow with a triangular pattern. When the right amount of fire is in your environment, you're going to feel confident. You're going to be high energy. You're going to be engaged and just like ready to go forward. If it's lacking, you might feel dull, uninspired, unmotivated. So bring in a little red. I love to go a little heavier in wood and fire elements during the winter season because I get the winter blahs. So just something to think about. So we talked about wood, we talked about fire. Now we're getting into the earth element. Gosh, with being so busy and so much going on, I think almost every home, every client I work with, we focus on a lot of the earth element. Earth is all about grounding, stability, support, right? It's like sitting in that really strong chair and feeling strong and supported. It's like the giant oak tree out in the wood with those deep roots going so deep into the earth, and it is strong. That tree is never falling over. How do we bring in the earth element? Through neutrals: beige, cream, tan, brown, chocolate. Also, anything made of the earth. So bricks, if you have a brick home, you already have a lot of earth element. If you have a granite countertop, you also have plenty of earth element. Maybe ceramics or sand. Again, anything from the earth, clay pottery maybe. Also, low horizontal lines. So if you're craving more earth element in your space and you need a new sofa, I'd say get a low sofa with low horizontal lines, or maybe a coffee table that's low. Also square shapes, a square coffee table. Or maybe a piece of art on the wall in a very square shape, a square rug. Okay, so remember, we don't just have to work with colors. We can work with patterns. We can work with artwork. We can work with shapes and styling as well. When earth is balanced in your space, you're going to feel calm and supported and steady and really grounded and connected to the earth. But when it's missing, it's like that paper bag floating in the wind. You might feel scattered. You might feel overwhelmed. You might just feel really frazzled. So bring in the earth element. All right, we talked about earth. Now we're going to talk about metal. The metal element's really interesting. The metal element is all about clarity and precision and focus. If you have a deadline at work and you're feeling behind, then you need to bring in the metal element into your environment. You can pull in metal through the colors of grays, of white, of pastel colors. So even though it might be pink or blue, if it's a pastel, it's still going to inspire that metal precision and focus. Also, metal objects, anything made of metal, a metal desk lamp, or a cool metal wall sculpture. And then the circular shape. Circular shapes are going to bring in, so maybe a big round mirror or a round rug. When metal is balanced, you're going to feel clear-headed and focused and ready to work, ready to take on whatever task or whatever you're doing in a organized manner. But when it's lacking, you're going to feel indecisive, frazzled, distracted, maybe even a little foggy. Something interesting is I have shared, if you've taken my color mastery class, either in person or online, I did a lot of work years ago with the metal element with a pastel yellow. One of my favorite office spaces was yellow. So we had moved into this home and this bedroom was yellow, a pastel yellow. And I'm thinking, I'm not really a yellow person, but I'm going to move my office in and then I will decide on a color. Well, wouldn't you know, I found myself so grounded, clear-headed, and focused in that pastel yellow office, I will never forget it. So if you're hunting for a new color, pastel, delicate, gentle yellow. It has that metal element with also the color yellow, providing that earth and grounding. Okay, just a little side note. Next, we have water. I love working with water. I find it fascinating how easily it can transform a space. Water brings a sense of flow, of ease, of intuition. I always kind of say it's like a loosey-goosey feel. It's free-flowing, it's creative. To bring the water element in, you can actually bring a water feature in. So a tabletop fountain. Could also be artwork depicting a beautiful lake where you vacationed at one time, or a waterfall, or some sort of water image. It could even be a water color. For coloring, blue and then black. A lot of people are surprised that black is a water element, but it is. If you think about, if you were to dive down deep into the bottom of the ocean, it's pretty dark and it is black. That's a good way to remember that. Mirrors, anything glass, anything with a wavy pattern. So if you're looking to redesign your space, maybe pick out a rug with a wavy pattern to inspire this flow and this ease and this intuition. So anything wavy. So when water is balanced, you're going to feel calm. You're going to be in that flow state. You're just going to be going about your day. It's going to feel really fluid. You're going to feel open and inspired. But when water is lacking in your space, you might feel rigid. It kind of could feel like when you're missing wood element, kind of blocked, kind of stuck, or you're feeling forced and you don't have that sense of fluidity. It's funny, as I'm doing this, I'm making these moves. And it was funny. I was talking to Laura last night on the phone and my hands are all over the place because I'm a hand talker. But especially when talking through the 5 elements, it has an essence even in your body. Funny thing, my Feng Shui teacher, Luann, I've studied with for 15 years now. I actually, when you do your very first training, your level 1 training with her, she teaches you a 5-element dance, which we laughed. It was nice to get up out of the chair when you're studying and learning all day. But I think there's something to this about moving in your body and feeling these elements in your body. So I can't help but dance here in my podcast studio. All right, so those are the 5 elements. And here is where it can be really powerful for your home. Most homes generally lean towards one or two elements. People are really earthy, or they like that really strong metal feel. But it's not often they have all five elements present. Keep in mind, we don't want them equally balanced. We want them balanced for the activity in the space, but we do want to make sure there's at least a touch of all five elements. And when you're missing something, it can show up in your life, and maybe not in that bold way, but in subtle little everyday moments. So here's what I want you to do after this episode. I want you to walk into your home and walk into a room and ask yourself, what does this room feel like? And you might want to pull out your phone and journal or grab a notebook. But I want you to think about, how does it feel? I would recommend doing this with your eyes open, and then also close your eyes and just sense. How does it feel? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel flat? Does it feel busy? Maybe cold? Or does it feel stuck? And then ask yourself, interesting, now that I noted that, what might be missing? And I think you will quickly see, after we've gone through this, you might even want to listen back through those five elements once again. Rewind, take another listen. And your mind might be blown. You might be like, oh my gosh, I finally get it. But here's the thing. You don't need to redo the whole room. You just need to introduce one element. Find that element. Maybe you're missing a little wood. If you have ceramic tile floors and you have a stone countertop, maybe your cabinets are painted a blue color, you might not have much wood. Bring a plant in. Bring a bouquet of flowers. A beautiful cutting board or charcuterie board that you want to put on display in your kitchen. Some sort of wood element. If you're lacking fire, get a beautiful candle or a fresh new lamp. And again, I'm not always telling you to go shop your own home. Maybe this room that's missing fire just needs another lamp in there, or maybe even a Himalayan salt lamp. If your space is missing earth, we want to get a sense of grounding. Find something square-shaped, rectangular-shaped, low horizontal lines. So you might even walk in your space and think, I have a striped pattern pillow. Instead of the stripes going vertical, I'm going to rotate it so they're horizontal, and there's your earth element. You can't get any easier than that. If you are lacking metal, let's simplify, maybe declutter a little bit, and bring in some sort of metal object, something interesting. It could even be a trinket on a table or on a coffee table, or a metal item on a bookshelf, a picture frame. Snag a picture frame from another location in your home. And then we have water. Water is always my favorite element. To bring in water, think about softness, reflection. Could be a beautiful mirrored tray. Again, artwork of some sort of watery image. So in my bathroom, I was looking for something green, but then I also knew I needed to bring water in. So I got a fantastic watercolor print of these flowers. So the flowers bring in wood, and the watercolor style of painting introduces the water element. And then it is framed in a white frame. So there we have some metal, all three in one object. So most items, they're going to have more than one element. One element will rather be dominant, but you might have a speck of something else. So just keep that in mind as well. Keep in mind, from a recovering perfectionist, the five elements are not about perfection. So just being aware and looking around, and then making those small intentional shifts, like always. Remember, when your environment just feels balanced, you feel it. So go home today, take a look around, and remember that if you like this stuff, this is exactly what we're doing in the Aligned at Home Collective, my monthly membership group. For $20 a month right now, get in before the rate goes up. This is where we take these types of concepts and we really apply it to your home step by step, location by location. It's fantastic. I hope you'll join. And with that, let me know what you learn about your space and how the elements are present. All right, reach out over on social media at Feng Shui Living Podcast on Instagram, or you can also find me at Pure Living with Lisa Morton for my main page and send me a message. Let me know. I want to know. All right, take care. Special thanks to our sponsor, Elevated Living School of Holistic Design and Feng Shui. For more information, head over to the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time.